Now these are TikTok videos. See if YouTube works.
So a big part of my work, although it just looks like I'm always filming videos, is actually writing. Using Grammarly has honestly been a game changer.
There we go.
Open this door right now or I'm breaking it down.
Can you first tell me what this is about?
We got a call about a disturbance. You need to step outside.
A disturbance? I'm a nurse. I just worked a double shift. I've been asleep for 2 hours.
Ma'am, last warning. Open up or you're getting arrested.
I'm a nurse at Seattle Grace. I just got home from a 16-hour shift. There's no disturbance here. 5, 4. Danielle made a decision. She called 911. The dispatcher answered, 911. What's your emergency? This is Danielle Moore at the Meridian Apartments on East Pine Street, apartment 312. There's a police officer at my door threatening to break it down. He says there was a disturbance call but won't explain what it's about. I was asleep. I'm asking him for his badge number and he's refusing. Can you verify this call and tell me what's happening? The dispatcher sounded confused. Hold on, ma'am. The pounding stopped. The officer must have heard her on the phone through the door. After about 30 seconds, the dispatcher came back on. Ma'am, I'm not showing any disturbance calls to your address tonight. Can you describe the officer? Male, white, looks like he's in his 30s, average build. He's in full Seattle PD uniform. He's in the hallway outside my apartment right now. Ma'am, I'm going to connect you with a supervisor. Stay on the line. Danielle heard the officer's radio through the door. He was talking to someone, but she couldn't make out the words. A new voice came on Danielle's phone. This is Sergeant Williams with Seattle PD. Can you tell me what's going on? Danielle explained everything. The pounding on her door, the threats to break it down, the claim about a disturbance, the refusal to identify himself, the countdown, all of it. Sergeant Williams sounded concerned. Ma'am, I need you to ask the officer for his last name and badge number again. I'm going to stay on the line. Danielle called through the door. Officer, I have Seattle Police Sergeant Williams on the phone right now. He's asking for your identification. Long silence. Then the officer spoke, and his voice was completely different now. Uncertain, almost scared. This is Officer Bradley Mitchell, badge number 7429. Danielle repeated it into her phone for the sergeant. Sergeant Williams said something Danielle didn't expect. Miss Moore, Officer Mitchell is not assigned to your area tonight. He's not supposed to be in Capitol Hill at all. I'm sending units to your location right now. Do not open your door. Not for Officer Mitchell, not for anyone, until you see me personally. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Danielle heard the officer's footsteps moving away from her door quickly. She looked at her phone, the doorbell camera app still open showing the live feed. She watched Officer Bradley Mitchell walk rapidly down the hallway, his face visible the entire time, clearly aware he had made a terrible mistake. Her doorbell camera had captured everything from the moment he approached her door. What just happened? Danielle stayed on the line with Sergeant Williams. She watched through her doorbell camera app. Within 6 minutes, 3 police cars arrived. She saw Sergeant Williams and 4 other officers enter the building through the lobby camera feed. There was a knock on her door. Professional, not aggressive.
Like
Miss Moore, this is Sergeant Williams. I'm here with 3 other officers. Can you look through your peephole and verify it's us? Danielle looked. 4 officers, all with name tags visible. Sergeant Williams held up his badge to the peephole. She opened the door. Sergeant Williams was a black man in his 50s, with gray at his temples, and the calm demeanor of someone who had seen everything. He looked at Danielle in her pajamas, clearly just woken up, and his expression was sympathetic. Miss Moore, I apologize for what just happened. Can you tell me everything from the beginning? Danielle walked them through it. The pounding, the threats, the refusal to explain, the countdown, the
Sorry for
911
having to clean
call.
my nose.
She
My
showed
nose
them her
is
phone
dripping.
with the audio recording. She opened her doorbell camera app and showed them the video footage. Crystal clear video of Officer Bradley Mitchell at her door, his face fully visible, his aggressive body language captured from the beginning of the encounter. She showed them the text exchange with her neighbor Ryan. Ryan opened his door and came out. He was a white man in his late 30s, wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. He had his phone in his hand. "I got it on my doorbell camera too," Ryan said. "Different angle, audio and video." The officer never identified himself properly. He made threats. He was aggressive from the start, and I can tell you for a fact that there was no disturbance. I was home all evening. This hallway was silent until he started pounding on Danielle's door. Sergeant Williams took both their contact information. He looked genuinely troubled. "Miss Moore, did Officer Mitchell say why he was here? Did he mention a specific complaint or caller?" "He said there was a disturbance call, but when I called 911, dispatch said there was no call to this address." Sergeant Williams looked at the other officers with him. One of them, a younger woman, was shaking her head in disbelief. "I need to ask you something, and please, be honest. Do you know Officer Mitchell? Have you had any prior contact with him?" "No, I've never seen him before tonight." "Any disputes with neighbors? Any complaints filed against you? Anything that might explain why an officer would come to your door?" "Nothing. I work, I sleep, I'm barely home. I've lived here 7 years without any problems." Sergeant Williams nodded slowly. "Miss Moore, I'm going to be direct with you. This is very serious. An officer who's not assigned to this area showed up at your door with no call for service, refused to properly identify himself, and made threats to force entry. That's not police procedure. That's not legal. Something is very wrong here. Do you think the sergeant already knew this was going to be bad? Type yes in the comments. What Sergeant Williams didn't tell Danielle that night was that Officer Bradley Mitchell had been under quiet investigation for 6 months. The department had received 3 anonymous complaints from women who claimed Mitchell had shown up at their homes late at night, always alone, always when they were home alone, always with vague claims about disturbance calls that dispatch had no record of. But the women had been too scared to make formal complaints. They gave statements anonymously and refused to go on record. Without victims willing to testify, internal affairs couldn't move forward. They had been watching Mitchell, reviewing his patrol logs, looking for patterns, but they needed evidence. Danielle had just given them evidence, with audio recording, with video from her doorbell camera showing Mitchell's face clearly, with a witness.
So I'm going to tell the story about how I got arrested by ICE at my green card interview at the USCIS office in San Diego. So my appointment was at 8 in the morning, and my husband, who was a US citizen and was petitioning for me, was there, and our attorney was there as well. By 8:20, we got called back for our interview, and everything seemed pretty normal. The USCIS agent was just asking us typical questions like, where did we meet, what year, how it was when we started dating, when we got married, who was at our wedding, different things like that that they ask at any other interview. Towards the end of the interview, she started slowing down with her questions and was typing a lot on the computer, and that's when me and my husband started to get worried. At the end, she said that all of our evidence was great, that the pictures we submitted were really good, and she was approving our I-130 petition. And then she said, "I'm so sorry, this is not my decision, but there are some people outside waiting to speak with you." Since we had been prepped by our attorney, we knew that if at any point they said there was a second part of an interview or that other people wanted to speak to us, that meant that I was going to be arrested. As soon as she said that, I had tears in my eyes, and I remember looking at my husband and my attorney, and I was just speechless. I couldn't believe that this was happening. At this point, the USCIS agent walks out, and 3 ICE agents walk in, and I'm sobbing. So one of them turns to my husband and says, "Is she okay? Can she understand me? Why is she crying?" So I look at him and I say, "Yes, I can understand you. I speak English, and I'm just in shock." So he says that they have a warrant for my arrest and they're there to detain me, and at that point my lawyer stands up and is asking to see the arrest warrant, and I just look over to my husband just in complete disbelief that this is even happening. And one of the ICE agents starts explaining to us that he knows I'm not a criminal, he knows I didn't do anything wrong, that unfortunately this isn't his decision, this is just his job, and he is just following orders. He then starts to speak directly to my husband and tells them that he promises that they're gonna treat me respectfully, that he knows I'm not a criminal, they're gonna treat me well. He kept saying the words, "We're gonna treat your lady with respect." He told me that I can give any valuables to my husband and that they were gonna give me a few minutes to say goodbye, and they walked out of the room. They gave me the option to keep my phone so that I could have it when I got released, but I thought it would be better if my husband had it, so I gave him my phone, my purse, my rings, my jewelry, all of that stuff. I wrote down my attorney's phone number just in case. She told me that I could refuse to sign any of the paperwork they gave me there unless it was paperwork that says that they were releasing me. Then I hugged my husband and they came back in and said it was time to go. So they took me down to the underground parking structure of the USCIS office, but when we got there, the van wasn't there yet, so they took me back up to the USCIS office and I waited for 20 or so minutes in their little headquarters area. There was a long white table with a lot of ICE agents sitting around talking. So they sat me down and I looked to my left and there's a bulletin board with names printed on it, like a checklist, and I see my name printed on there. It's the very first one and it's highlighted. So I don't know what that means, but it seems like they had already decided I was going to get arrested and there was nothing I could say or do that day that would stop that. After 20 minutes, they took me back down to the underground parking structure and there was a van waiting there and 2 officers standing outside of it. That's where they patted me down to see if I had anything else on me. They put me in handcuffs and ankle cuffs and put me in the van. There was already 1 man waiting in the van when I got there. We waited for the next 3 hours until 12:40 for more people to get into the van. They kept bringing down more people and I overheard the officers saying that there was supposed to be 23 that day. We ended up leaving around 12:40 with 16 of us in the van. The whole time they referred to us as bodies. We have 1 more body coming, or oh, we're supposed to get 23 bodies and we have 16 bodies on the way. So they took all of us a couple blocks down to the federal building. So we went into the basement and that is where I was processed for the next 24 hours with no change of clothes, no bed, no toothbrush, no anything, just a cell. So I'm really lucky that I was able to get out. I know that I have a lot of privilege, so I want to make sure that I use that luck and that privilege to talk about everything that happened and talk about the federal building and the detention center and even what's going on now, because I know it's important to use my voice to uplift others. So this is something that I'm going to continue talking about so that people know what is happening. So I'm going to tell the story about how I got arrested.
Stay where you are. This area is restricted.
I am the chief medical officer. I'm responding to the
I need to see some identification. I don't care who you are.
There's a child dying in that room. Step aside.
If you keep obstructing, I will restrain you. I need to see your badge now.
You're arresting a doctor during a
You
resuscitation
won't believe what
attempt.
happened next.
He stopped her during a code blue. She wasn't a trespasser. She was the chief medical officer. And it cost him everything. Tuesday morning at Metropolitan University Hospital in Chicago, a single decision turned into a multi-million-dollar disaster. A security officer named Scott Rohr stopped a woman sprinting down a critical care corridor during a code blue, a life-or-death emergency. He demanded her ID. He blocked her path. He threatened to have her escorted out. What he didn't know was that the woman in scrubs was Dr. Elena Vargas, the hospital's chief medical officer, former chief of surgery, and the highest medical authority in a 1,500-bed facility. Dr. Vargas was responding to a pediatric emergency. A child was crashing in the ICU. Her badge was clipped to her scrubs. She verbally identified herself. She explained the code blue. None of it mattered. Security footage later showed Officer Rohr letting 2 white doctors pass moments earlier, without checking their IDs. But when Dr. Vargas ran toward the ICU, he saw only what his bias allowed him to see. A woman of color.
Can I ask you something? Do you think that throwing a tantrum and yelling at me is gonna... Let me finish the question. Okay.
Come on, just put on your harness. Come on.
You want Dad to do it instead?
You don't even love me. You just want my snacks.
Did you just call me a bitch? Did you call me a bitch? Yeah. Why? Hey, Brisket, I got a question for you. Brisket, do you want to go to Dunkin' Donuts?
All you ever do is yell at me.
You wanna go for a...
I caught my husband cheating on me last weekend. You want to hear about it, or you got other shit to do? Now, I'm not one to spread my business and my life all over the ticker talker like most people are, but I feel like I could maybe help you out. So let's set the scene. Last Saturday, actually last Tuesday, my husband come to me and he tells me that he's going on a guided fishing trip in San Antonio with some buddies from work. Now, mind you, I've never seen my husband but one time go on a guided fishing trip, and so spur of the moment, usually he tells me weeks in advance. He's talking, he's planning, whatever. I wasn't connecting anything because I didn't think there was anything to connect. Let me turn that around because some of y'all be petty. Anyway, so he says he's going on a guided fishing trip with some of his buddies from work in San Antonio, but they're going down there Friday night and they'll be back on Saturday after the fishing trip. No, I'm sorry. They're going down there Saturday and they'll be back on Sunday after the fishing trip. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Hope you have fun, whatever. So Saturday rolls around and I wake up and I have a pit in my stomach. Like, you ever get a bad feeling and you don't know where it's coming from and you don't know what's going on, but you know you have it there? Well, I had that same feeling and I just couldn't put my finger on it. What in the hell was going on? So I just chalked it up to maybe it was my anxiety. It was no big deal. Everything was fine. Well, as soon as he walked out that door, I ran to the bathroom and threw up.
The brain damage made me indicate that I can't watch this without a straight face. I can watch this with a straight face. This isn't funny. She's talking about being cheated on. This guy's like grinning and smiling and laughing.
Because something was going on. And I had sat with this all day long, and nothing was out of the ordinary. He had kept in contact with me. He let me know when he got there.
Hi, I am Lisa. I am 57 years old and I went on 145 first dates. And I want to acknowledge the last video that went viral about the 5 reasons I don't want a man in my life. It was shocking to see how many women could commiserate and understand what I've been through. And I want to acknowledge and thank everyone for the support. I really have to tell you, to feel seen and acknowledged for the trauma that I've been through is actually so touching. It makes me sad that we've all kind of been through the same thing. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the case. So I just want to acknowledge and say thank you to everyone. Okay. The other thing I want to say thank you for is that you guys all gave me really great points that I missed a lot of things. And to be fair, I've been single for 5 years and I think I've blocked it out. But here are 5 more reasons why I don't want a man in my life. And we might as well just get started with the first one, being grown children. Okay, grown children, and let's also say possibly young children. I am 57 and I have met men in their 60s with 10 and 13-year-olds. No, thank you. I've raised my kids. I'm ready for grandchildren now. I am absolutely not going to go with a man who's still raising kids. You made that choice, sir. You do you. I don't know. That's up to you. But the grown children is really the issue here, because you would think because the man's child is grown that, oh, great, the child's grown, we're going to be free to do our thing. Oh, no, these children oftentimes come with unhealed anger issues. They're mad. Their parents aren't still married. They're bitter. Their father wasn't a great dad. They're very concerned about their inheritance. So they see you and they're like threat, and they feel very entitled to be rude and disrespectful. And I'm sorry, but if you raise your child to be like that, that's on you, sir. And it says so much about you and your emotional intelligence because your kids picked up on that. So those group of men can exit stage left. Not interested in dealing with that or bringing that into my life. Okay, let's also talk about the second issue that I will not put up with, and that is porn. I'm not even sure I can say that word on here, but we have to admit how much that has damaged our men. I know you've been with a man who treated sex like it was a performance, something he had seen on the internet. He wants to revisit that. He has all these weird terminologies that he's going to bring up. And you know what? We cannot deny that that has ruined our men. It is bizarre how they look at sex based on what they've seen on the internet. And, you know, just a side note, I went and looked this up. There are 340 million Americans. There are 377 paid subscribers on OnlyFans. And I know it's international, I get that, but we have to acknowledge what a big deal this is and how this has affected our men's brains. And for all the ladies who said to me, I have such a good one, I'm so lucky, I hope you are telling yourself the truth, because ma'am, I guarantee one of you has a husband who's a paid subscriber on OnlyFans. And I am sorry, it is disgusting to think that I would be in a relationship with you and being intimate with you, and you are actively looking at the internet, those sort of things. It's gross. I want that. I don't want that. Just keep it away from me. Okay, next thing, sleep issues. A man in my bed has been nothing but disturbing. The snoring had to stop. I really just think if I'm going to be in a relationship, I need separate bedrooms. I need to sleep. I want peace. And it's not just the snoring. It's the farting in the bed. It's they wake up earlier and they feel very comfortable waking you up because they're up. So my natural sleep needs are interrupted by his inability to stay quiet while I'm sleeping. Or how about this? They come in late and they're banging around, blowing their nose, in the bathroom, slamming the doors as if you don't even exist. It's the entitlement for me. I just cannot understand. I sleep so well now, and it's so important. My sleep is everything. Okay. The next thing, the disrespect. The disrespect that men are capable of doing. They tell you they have a work wife. They tell you that, I told Joe so-and-so about how you spent all this money. They'll tell a story about you in front of everyone that's disrespectful. It almost like reveals things that are private between you. It is so disrespectful. And if they are not supporting you in public and they're saying stuff and mocking you in public, that is an absolute end game for me. If you don't respect me, we don't need to be together. That is not a good.
Last Sunday, January 11th, my friend Brandon Seguenza and I responded to reports of 2 ICE vehicles cornering and pepper spraying the car of an observer in my neighborhood. We are both U.S. citizens. We decided to go there because we'd heard that the more eyes on ICE agents, the less likely they are to escalate to violence. When we got there, the ICE agents were getting back into their 2 vehicles. They turned down a side street and we followed them for about 40 seconds, blowing our whistles and honking our horns, the few ways we've been able to successfully warn people that ICE is in the neighborhood. Halfway down the block, ICE stopped, got out, and surrounded the vehicle, yelling at us to stop following them. On their way back to their vehicles, one of the agents turned around and decided to come back and pepper spray into the vents near my front windshield, which immediately started burning our eyes and throats. When we didn't turn around, they came back again and without asking us to get out of the car, smashed both of the front windows, dragged us out, and arrested.
At 8 o'clock? Okay. The medical transportation is supposed to be providing that ride. I don't know who is it going to be. Who's that? Understood. Thank you. Understood. Thank you. Understood. Thank you. Well, that was medical transportation. I guess they're going to pick me up at 8 tomorrow. But he's saying he doesn't see me on the thing for a home trip and suggested I call the insurance company.
Arrested us. We were released without charges 9 hours later. Brandon and I were transported separately. I was put in a car with 3 agents and no other civilians. As soon as the agents got into the car and shut the doors, they immediately started taunting and mocking me. One agent took a photo of me on a cell phone and showed it to the other 2, laughing. Another made demeaning comments about my appearance. About
Good insight on here.
Wow. I saw this and all I could say was, wow. Take a look at this. It's a long video, but check it out.
White America thought they elected a savior, but God sent them their judgment. November 2024, you watched the election results roll in. You saw white America celebrating in the streets. You heard them chanting his name. You watched them worship at the altar of their golden idol. They thought they were crowning their champion. They had no idea they were signing their own death warrant. Here's what they don't want you to know. Here's what the mainstream media will never tell you. Here's the truth that's been hidden in plain sight. Donald Trump is not white America's savior. He is God's instrument of their destruction. Let me show you something that will blow your mind. In 2024, 21% of black men voted for Donald Trump. That's more than double what he got in previous elections. You heard that right. Black men, the sons of the enslaved, the descendants of those who suffered under white supremacy for 400 years, they helped put Trump back in the White House. And white America celebrated. They thought they were winning. But here's what they didn't see. Here's what their blind eyes couldn't comprehend. God was orchestrating the greatest act of divine justice in modern history. He was using the very people they oppressed to deliver their judgment. He was turning their victory celebration into a funeral march. And they were too drunk on their own pride to even notice. Look at what's happening right now in America. Trump's policies are tearing apart the very fabric of white middle-class life. His tariffs are crushing small business owners in rural white communities. His mass deportation plans are creating labor shortages that are destroying white-owned farms and factories. His economic chaos is wiping out retirement savings for white suburban families who thought they were safe. His dismantling of federal agencies is eliminating jobs that white college graduates depend on. Everything they built is crumbling. Everything they trusted is collapsing. Everything they believed in is turning to dust. And the man they worship is the one holding the sledgehammer. Coincidence? Random chaos? Political miscalculation? No. This is prophecy. This is divine judgment. This is God using the wicked to punish the wicked. This is the rod of God's anger. And white America is about to feel every strike. You saw the headlines. Trump dismantles DEI programs. Trump rolls back civil rights protections. Trump appoints judges who will set justice back 50 years. And white America cheered. They thought he was hurting us. They thought he was protecting them. They had no idea that every single policy, every single executive order, every single decision was a nail in their own coffin. The whole world is watching America isolate itself. Allies are turning away. Economic partners are finding new arrangements. The global south is rising while America falls. And Trump is accelerating it all with a smile on his face and a red hat on his head. What if I told you this exact scenario was written 3,000 years ago? What if I told you the Bible predicted a nation would be judged by its own idol? What if I told you that God has a pattern of using oppressors to destroy oppressors and then destroying the instrument he used? What if everything you're watching on the news right now is the fulfillment of ancient prophecy? White America wanted a white supremacist strongman. God said, fine. Here he is. Have him. Let him destroy you from the inside out. Let him dismantle everything your ancestors built. Let him isolate you from the world. Let him crash your economy. Let him expose your hypocrisy. Let him be the face of your judgment. This is not politics. This is spiritual warfare.